There are drones in Jersey. Are they there to save us? I don't know. But breakdown starts now. Welcome back to the breakdown, everyone. Hey, how you doing? Are the drones here to save us? I need to know, Ryan. What's
I'm gonna say that the drones are just doing their drone thing, man. Like, in a year we're talking about UFOs in Congress. Like, what's a few drones?
I mean, as I was telling you before the show, I just saw Interstellar, so I think it might be us from a different dimension, time dimension, coming back
Absolutely.
to tell us how to get us out of this mess,
Yeah.
because that's what we're talking about tonight, people. Uh, Rick's going to be joining us in a second, but we're here with Ryan Wiggins, Lincoln Project Chief of Staff, and myself, Maya May. And wow, we got a new Man of the Year. We're going to have to talk about that tonight. America is apparently for sale. That's how you get to be Man of the Year. Apparently, if you feel like you're in the upside down, you're not. You're in the topsy turvy, and it's just going to keep going like this and like this. But Ryan and I are here to help you put things in perspective so that you don't chase the circus down the rabbit hole into the abyss.
Right.
How many metaphors can I fit in here? How you doing, Ryan?
Maya, I am hanging on for dear life.
I love the authenticity. I think
Yeah,
we're all
yeah,
right
man.
there with you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's gonna be a bumpy 4 years, but you know what? I'm feeling good about our team, and I'm feeling good about what I am seeing with this country going, oh hell no, to a lot of what Trump is trying to do. So, it's gonna be interesting, but I'm here for it.
I think we should talk about hell no to what he's trying to do, because first thing we were talking about is the fact that America is up for sale,
Yes,
apparently,
yes.
including people like Zuckerberg giving $1 million to the inauguration fund. But we were talking about there. What are you seeing? Because it seems like America is on sale for the cheap right now.
I think it is on sale for the cheap, Maya, but I also think that I am seeing that a Rick Wilson might be coming in to talk about his Christmas present that he received yesterday.
Oh yeah,
So
he
let's
did
put
talk
a
about
pin in
that.
it and let Rick come in.
Oh wait, he's actually. I think he's
Not
still.
here.
He's
Never
unwrapping.
mind.
He is unwrapping the gift.
He
Just
is unwrapping the gift still. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what we were just talking about America being for sale. So, he did this in his first term. And a lot of people will remember at the very, very end of his first term, he was selling pardons for $1 million. It looks like he's selling pardons again. It looks like he's selling any kind of appointment, anything to his administration. And that's not great for the American people, because you kind of want people who can pass a background check and may have maybe a little bit of experience in what we're asking them to do.
yeah, it seems like people who he is naming right now, whether it be to his administration or people that he's being buddy with, are all people who either donated through cash or in kind, have made the trip down to Mar-a-Lago. And I want to just take a brief moment to pause, because if you would have said 2.5 years ago, like we said, like, hey, this guy is coming back and he's going to be in a position of power to do everything that he says that he wants to do, and everybody thought that we were crazy,
Oh
and
yeah.
now we're right in it, and we're seeing the facts play out in real time, and
Yeah.
it's
It's
dizzying.
terrifying.
Yeah.
It's absolutely terrifying. I mean, the point isn't to give us a sustainable government. The point has always been to tear it apart. So if you're trying to tear apart the government, you're trying to tear down the United States, you start by putting people who are completely incompetent in charge of, the agencies that run our country. And that's exactly what we're seeing happening right now.
Well, and I think for a lot of people, like, these institutions are not things that people think about on a day-to-day basis and
That's
have
right.
an understanding of how it creates the stability that it makes makes America possible. And so I think for a lot of the people who voted for him, they're not yet seeing the repercussions, because for them, they're going, oh, we got the guy that we want, and now we're just going to go back to our lives. And so they might not be hearing him when he says things like, oh, I might not be able to get grocery prices down, or groceries they're up. And maybe that's where they'll stay. And so I don't think they see him playing nice with all the crypto bros now. And I'm guessing a lot of the people who voted for him aren't invested in crypto. So
his own son said that the whole reason that he is Mr. Crypto is because the banks won't lend him money. Like, y'all. Like, he'll be the most crypto friendly president because crypto he can take money from. Like, it is insane. We are in the bad place.
Yeah, the bad place where all transactions are paid for apparently with crypto, because that's one of the main things that people use crypto for, is illicit transactions. So it's not just that the banks won't give him money. It's also that he probably has quite a few dealings right now going into the future that are going to be needed to pay for with crypto.
Yeah, with outside money, as we will call it.
Yeah. He keeps talking about the deep state, but also the dark web. It seems that's where he's going to be spending a lot of his time. I hear we have a Rick Wilson.
We have a Rick Wilson.
Let's bring him in.
Hey, Rick, didn't you get a Christmas present yesterday?
Why, yes, I did. Hey, folks, thanks for letting me jump on for a couple minutes tonight. I just wanted to thank everybody in the Lincoln Project family, the Lincoln Project audience, for all the amazing support and encouragement and stick with it messages that I've gotten over the last year and a half, as Mike Flynn and his legal terror team have levied a $10 million lawsuit against me. They lost in the lower court about a year ago, and the Florida Second District Court of Appeal yesterday affirmed the lower court's verdict. And, for being the free speech absolutist fuck your feelings guys, they sure are delicate. And yet here we are. Somehow we've survived this one once again. I like to think of this as a win, not just for me and for us, but this is something that means a lot. I think in watching the lawfare that the Trump people are going to deploy against folks in the coming term, you can fight these bastards even in Republican courts. You can win on the merits, and that's what we did.
Yep. Yeah.
Congratulations.
We're all thrilled that is off your plate. That weight.
Yes, it is.
Now back to fighting.
Back to fighting.
I like that you have the champagne out. I now am sad that all I have is a glass of water.
Like, man, I didn't know Rick was coming with champagne.
Well, we were celebrating other thing tonight too. Renee's son got into all his schools.
Oh, that's amazing! Congratulations. That's awesome. Awesome. I know that he has worked hard, and I know that she is super proud. So that is great. That is fantastic.
No, it's a. But look, folks. I mean, people right now have been saying to me a lot, like, tell me some good news somewhere, anywhere. And all these cases that Flynn has brought against other people, Nicole Wallace, Andrew Weissman, CNN, NBC, the federal government, Fred Wellman, Jim Stewart, and all these other people he's suing, right? This case that was decided yesterday knocks the wind out of an awful lot of his arguments that he's making in all these other state and federal trials. So you're welcome, people. No, but we're look, and again, you should get used to the fact that they're going to use the power of government and the courts to torture people.
Yeah.
You should also remember that everything they say is projection.
Yep.
Oh, lawfare against Donald Trump. Donald Trump was prosecuted because he was committing crimes, of many of which he was convicted for, and of. They're doing this to people who are their critics because they tell the truth.
That's right.
But folks, this is a piece of good news in the firmament right now. And I'm so grateful to everybody, like I said, in my Lincoln Project family, in my family and beyond, folks who follow us on here, who follow me on my other platforms, on Substack and the podcasts and on the social media. It really means a lot. And I'm glad we can share this piece of good news for everybody as we enter into the darkest part of the year.
Yep.
Literally, metaphorically.
Literally,
metaphorically, politically, legally,
all around. But I want you to tap into your joy tonight, Rick. And
yes,
so
go celebrate. Go
I
celebrate.
am definitely having a damn good week. It's been a good week. So
You've earned a good week. You've earned several of them.
I don't know if you guys can see it, but I attribute some of it to the new piece of Florida juju back there.
Oh no, we can't see the Florida juju.
Tell us what it is.
Oh.
I'm excited. I'm trying to guess what it could be. What could it be?
What am I looking at?
I feel like I need to whip my glasses out for that.
You find something so Floridian that you have to have it.
What in the hell?
What is that?
Mounted on a skull. Mounted below it with 3 baby skulls that are hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil.
Hold on a second. I was like, hold on.
He doesn't have a name yet. Lincoln Project listeners, give us the name for this creature. All I know is a guy who sold smoked mullet dip by the side of the road makes these with a chainsaw.
Oh my. So you went to Waukelia County for that, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, Rick, that is special.
I don't know what to say, right? What the fuck is that? Jesus.
I mean, there's just so many. Why would anyone make that? I mean, I don't know that that's Florida Man as much as that is solidly a Rick Wilson piece of art right there.
Florida Man writ large.
Maybe it's time we all get into our artistic side and do some arts and crafts. Maybe that's how we're going to get through this together.
I'm telling you, it looks like you don't have to be that skilled at it.
Wait, hold on.
Is that an owl?
Yes, it's an owl on
top of
pirate
skulls.
skull.
Okay, that's nightmare right there.
I
You know
got no
what it
words
is?
for that, Rick.
Maybe
All I can tell you is
nightmares.
All I can tell you is that some bitch is going in the guest room right over the bed.
Just keep it out of any room I ever stay in when I come to visit. I don't need the nightmares.
Let us know about what your art projects are in the
Y'all
comments,
just missed the whole key, though. The same guy that carved these was selling mullet dip by the side of the road.
I didn't miss
the apotheosis of pure Florida man right there.
Yeah, I was going to say that is Florida. That just went whoop because
nobody else gets it. Ryan gets it. That is pure Florida man. Mullet dip.
I don't know what mullet dip is. Is that like dip, like chew? But
no.
Like mullet is a fish, and they smoke the fish.
Mullet is a very strongly flavored fish.
Yes.
I thought you meant short up top, long in the back. That's what I thought.
No. No.
Bat
Those
gates.
are better than actual mullet.
No, mullet is a very bony, relatively lower quality fish.
Oily.
And yet smoked mullet has a certain magical property to it.
It does.
I'm here for the smoked mullet.
It does. But yeah, you can eat it either fried or in smoked dip. And that's about it.
Bat Gates is the name of the
Bat Gates may win this one.
We may have a winner already. Keep it rolling in, folks. Well, guys, thank you so much for having me on the show tonight. I know you guys are busy with a whole other agenda of more substantive issues than my weird Florida man voodoo statue.
Oh, I don't think there's anything more important than that.
Yeah, to be honest with you, we're gonna actually scrap the rest of the show. Let everybody know you can't go back to the dinner and celebration. You're staying right here.
I just can't believe you spent money on it. Like, that's amazing.
It was practically free.
I believe that.
I paid as much for the
completely free
as I did for the skull.
Well, Rick, enjoy your celebration. Congratulate Renee for us.
I
very,
shall.
very exciting. We will
thanks,
talk
guys.
soon.
I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
I don't know what's going on in Florida. And now I'm really like, please do not Florida our America. Like,
don't Florida our America. But you know what, Maya? That's exactly what's happening with all of these appointments. And I mean, we were talking earlier about Hogseth and like, okay, you still are running this dude, but you're also letting him know you're meeting with Ron DeSantis for that same job at Mar-a-Lago. Like, this is so deja vu of what his first administration was like. Does anyone else remember the revolving door? I mean, Scaramucci is a unit of time because of Donald Trump. So I mean, it's like they're not even confirmed yet. They're still meeting with senators, and he's already looking at kicking people off the door. Like, it's crazy.
It's crazy, but in many ways, that spectacle is a part of what he does and what he is so good at. Because while we were talking about this earlier, while a lot of people are watching the circus, they're busy fleecing America left and right.
So right. That is so right. In fact, on Blue Sky, I don't go to X anymore. I changed my handle even on this thing. Like, I don't go to X. It's just that place is something else right now.
Can we talk about the Blue Sky handles though? Because they're
I know,
so
I hate
long.
it. I hate it. They're so long. They're so long.
My brain actually tunes out, and I'm like, I can't actually, and that's why mine is still my on stage.
I hear you. I hear you. But I've been talking about the circus for a minute on my Blue Sky account, and that's because I really have a very clear memory of what those 4 years were like when he was president, and he had us dizzy. I mean, every day he was doing 3 or 4 things that were like worse than the other. And I mean, and that's part of autocracy. That's part of what they do, is they get you so spun up and so exhausted trying to chase some sort of rational mindset in all of this that you can't focus and you can't fight. So don't follow the circus. Think when you're seeing the circus and you're seeing anything in the press, know that that is stuff that they're comfortable with you seeing. They want you to see it. It's owning the libs.
Yeah.
Don't fall for it. Don't take the bait. Don't take the bait. Keep paying it. Keep your eye on the prize. And the prize is democracy. See what they're doing that is actually filling their own pocketbooks, hurting us geopolitically, and also, hurting democracy, hurting people's voting rights, hurting people's human rights. I mean, pay attention to what you really need to pay attention to.
Yeah. And one of the things that I like to do in times like this is when the news cycle is so insane, is I like to return to books, because books are quiet unless it's an audiobook and I'm listening to it. But it helps put everything in context. So rather than wasting hours of time at like a pinball to the news cycle, you can dive into one of Timothy Snyder's books.
I was going to say, I don't know, it's going to make you feel a lot better.
No, it's not going to make you feel better.
It's going to make you feel good.
But it's going to help you. Yeah, it's going to help you understand what's going on, and it's going to help you understand context and be able to have those intelligent conversations with the people in your lives. Because guess what? Another holiday is coming up, and you probably are going to be in contact with friends and family who are going to be like, it's actually not going to be that bad. He's not going to do the same things he says he's going to do, but he already has in his Time interview. He already spoke about what he's planning on doing. So
oopsie, tariffs are going to make things more expensive.
Oh, yeah. Oops.
This is a really cheap book, by the way. A great book, but it's like $7. And so I've bought several of them. I'm handing them out to the MAGAs in my life. Went, okay, well, you didn't understand it before the election, so understand it now. Here you go.
Yeah. And it's way over there. I'd grab it, but I have the graphic novel version. So for the people in your life who can't be bothered to flip through an actual lengthy book, you can get them the graphic novel version. It's almost like it's for kids, child's play. And what's the first rule? Do not
comply in advance.
Do not obey in advance. And we are unfortunately seeing a lot of that. Do you want to talk about Christopher Wray? Because we've been going back and forth on that.
Actually, Maya, why don't we talk about Christopher Wray and and what we think about that? Because we were having a great conversation earlier today about that whole situation and whether or not it's cowardly or it's exactly what we would do if we were in the same position. Maya, what do you think?
Yeah. So when I saw that he was retiring, I was like, okay, he's either trying to avoid any sort of accountability or responsibility to the incoming Trump administration, or he is basically saying, I want to get out of Dodge before I have to show even a modicum of courage. It's a tiny little bit of courage. And so for me, I always like to think about, okay, there's probably maybe something happening in the background that we are not all aware of, but it feels cowardly to me for him to step down at this point, unless he's doing so because he has some grand plan that by being in the position, he wouldn't be able to carry out otherwise. So that's me trying to give benefit of the doubt at this point.
Oh, listen, I mean, I look at this and I'm thinking, why didn't, what's his name from the Postal Service step down? I still can't believe it. Yeah, I still can't believe
Does he still have the job?
He still has the job right now. He still has the job right now.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I look at it like this. So the FBI did do a lot of investigation into Trump stuff over the past 4 years. And I know that this guy and anybody who is going to be any part of an administration on the other side of this, and he was a Trump appointee.
I was going to say, it's Trump appointee.
He was a Trump appointee. But anyone who is going to stay on the other side of this is going to have to kiss the ring. And Trump has been very, very, very clear that he's not a fan. And so, I understand not wanting to go and kiss that guy's ass. Like, I wouldn't want to go kiss Trump's ass only to know that he was going to fire me anyway and fire and disparage the people that I've worked for and represented for the past 7 years. He has 3 years left in his term, and he's turning it over early. So I see both sides of it, but I agree with you. Don't comply in advance. This is complying in advance, rather than fighting it from the inside and fighting it from your position as a position of credibility and authority in the United States as head of the FBI.
Yeah,
so,
and I think it sets a terrible precedent. Because now other people looking to him are going to say, oh, okay, I guess that's what we do now. And that's what I'm seeing across the board, including with Zuckerberg going down to Mar-a-Lago or giving $1 million to the inauguration. So to me, I feel like right now the average American who did not vote for Donald Trump, who does not consider themselves a Trump voter, is looking at everybody going, oh, okay, I guess this is what we do now.
It is not what we do now.
Not what we do now. That's what I want to say, like loud and clear here at the Lincoln Project. That is not what we do. We are here to make noise, and a lot of it going forward, because fascism is creeping its way in, and it's here, and now we need to look at it and go, nah, you're not staying. Because
sorry, no autocracy for me.
No,
I'm not going to do it.
No, the rights that we have right now are because of democracy and because we have learned to work together as a country, which is why they want to dismantle it. And that's why they want to pit people against each other. And that's why we have to do the exact opposite. Sometimes that's the best strategy, is like the thing that you want to do, point fingers, attack people within our own communities and blame. Do not fall for that, because that is exactly what they want us to do. That's why for me, when I'm angry, and I've been very angry a lot lately, so angry, I've had to say to myself, Maya, pause. Don't yell at that Democratic strategist. Don't yell at that. I was like, maybe in the DM, don't yell at all of the people for what you feel like they're getting wrong, because it feels like a lot is going wrong in the messaging right now. When we talk about transitions, the message during the election was that Trump is a threat to democracy. And that's the message because it's true. We've seen how he's changed our culture, but it's the way the transition's going. It seems like, oh, he's not a threat anymore.
Well, I mean, it's complying in advance, right? I think that this is something that we used to say at the Lincoln Project a lot. And that is that Democrats are playing chess and Republicans are eating the pieces. And the problem is that the Democrats are continuing to play chess. They're continuing to play as if this is the same game that it's always been in this country. And it's not. This was a major, major shift towards something very not American. And we've got to start understanding and playing in a world that we are actually living in right now, as opposed to this idea that, oh, this is just business as usual. If it's just business as usual, then we lied to the American people. Kamala lied to the American people. Biden lied to the American people. None of us were we all have seen this with our own eyes. So it's a matter of not allowing yourself to get gaslit. And that is what you're seeing with the Democrats right now in some places, is like they're getting gaslit by the idea of normalcy. Because right now, the election happened. Right now, things seem safe. They seem normal. They are safe and normal because Biden is still in the White House. We are a month away from that not being the case anymore. And you are not going to see anything that resembles safe. You're not going to see anything that resembles stable. I mean, we know what this is going to look like. We've lived through 4 years of this. I was on an interview this morning where I was told that, back in his last term, the roof didn't cave in. And I had to remind them, we had actual Nazis marching in the streets. We had people getting mowed over by cars. We had cops standing on the necks of Black men in this country. I mean, we had COVID that took out more than a million Americans.
Mhm.
Like, how can you say that the roof didn't cave? The roof absolutely imploded on us. And I think that people forget because trauma has a way of making you forget. It's a way of self-preservation. But y'all, this isn't going to be fun. This isn't going to be a good couple years.
Yeah, no, I remember even after when I gave birth to my daughter, the pain of it was so incredible that I was like, never again. And then within 2 days, I was like, this is such a beautiful experience.
Yeah. Oh, I don't even remember that pain. Yeah.
I mean, when you want to take it down to its most basic premise here, I'm so pissed about this Zuckerberg thing.
Girl, me too.
Gave $1 million to a man who incited an insurrection on our Capitol. He gave $1 million to celebrate the incoming president who tried to set a siege to our Capitol. It's fucking insane.
Can you imagine if there were any other group? Can you imagine if the Muslim population had launched an attack on our Capitol building? We would be carpet bombing other countries over that. Yeah. You know, if Black America had shown up at that Capitol and had tried to do that, there would have been violence like has not been seen since the Civil Rights movement. And like, we're going to just allow this? Like, this is okay? Like, I still right now do not understand how 1/6 was not a complete deal breaker for this country. There was a terrorist attack on our nation's capital by our fellow Americans. How was that not a deal breaker?
Yeah, and don't be surprised if Trump decides to commemorate January 6th once he's in office and make it some sort of holiday to celebrate the destruction of the deep state or whatever it is, however he's going to say it. But also, we talked about the Democratic governors who originally, we were expecting to be like the line, right? They're going to hold the line. And now some of them are saying, oh, there could be common ground and some compromise on immigration. What?
We have to remember that people are people, no matter how small, no matter what color, people are people. People are always people. And we have to treat people with humanity. And yeah, the immigration problem was really out of control. And Biden has put a big stop that fentanyl deaths are down right now because of the things that he's done with immigration. That does not mean splitting up families. That does not mean deporting our citizens who may be married to an illegal immigrant. I mean, the things that they're trying to propose on immigration is inhumane. And the fact that there are Democratic governors who are going along with some of this is really sad because you're turning your back on your own values. I mean, either people are people or people are not people. And that's something that this country's got to decide. As far as I'm concerned, people have always been people. All of us are human. It does not matter. You take our skins off. We bleed the same. We have the same skeletons. We've got the same muscles. We're the same. Doesn't matter if you're from Mexico. It doesn't matter if you're from Guatemala. It doesn't matter where you're from. And so, but yeah, we've got to get this problem under control. Biden's doing a really good job of doing that right now. But we also have to remember that we're human and that is one of the things that separates us from animals is our ability to treat each other with respect, even if we are holding our boundaries.
Well, there are certain protocols, and protocols exist for a reason. Yep. And Trump already wants to change some of those, like being able to raid churches, being able to raid hospitals, which is not just a violation of those spaces, but imagine being a patient in a hospital and you're just there for treatment. Your loved ones are there to see you, and raids are happening. And so this sounds outlandish and crazy, but this is what he says he plans to do. And all of this is because they've been building up an invasion rhetoric that we're invasion. And that's why they hope to be able to invoke that act by calling it invasion. But an invasion is an invasion. What is happening right now in our country is not an invasion. So, again,
well, unless you talk about Russia. I mean, the Russian invasion that's happening in DC right now is an actual invasion, Maya. It's just not coming from south of the border.
I'm gonna have to switch to something stronger than water. I told myself this election season I wasn't really going to drink, and I didn't. I did eat a lot of cupcakes, and I'm saying to myself now, Maya, still don't drink, don't do it, because I feel like once I have one, I'm just gonna be like, oh, this feels good to be slightly tuned out. I think I like it here.
Yeah, we can't afford to be slightly tuned out. I really, really, really want to be slightly tuned out too. It's been a long, I mean, I joined this fight back when Rick did in 2015. Now, Rick was obviously Rick, so he had a bigger celebrity on it. But I've been fighting the same fight for since he came down the escalator too. I'm exhausted. I am exhausted. Yeah. I am exhausted. And I'm a Floridian. So I'm like doubly exhausted.
Yeah.
Like I am really ready to get some sense of normalcy back. And what the country's told us is unity is not where we are right now. And that sucks.
It does suck. And I think it's important to listen and hear people where they're at. And right now, what is most concerning to me is that violence seems to be the new love language of America. And that's all across the board. People have started to accept where we're at. And this is just an observation that I'm watching how everybody responds. And I'm thinking back to Bandy Lee. I don't know if too many people have seen this interview, but she's done a ton of interviews where she speaks about the Trump effect on our culture. And so what people were willing to accept before has completely shifted to now people are just willing to accept violence, looking for violence. Violence is just a part of our culture, and it's not something to be condemned. It's something to be celebrated and that's across the board. And so that is concerning to me because he's not even back in office yet. And so I could very well see once he is in office, any violence that may ensue when he's trying to carry out these raids or things like that, whether it be vigilante violence, whether it be people trying to defend their own families. I see people, it feels like in Pulp Fiction when he's like, it's a race car in the red. Like right now, America is a race car in the red because you know what comes after exhaustion? Irritability, right? The more exhausted we are, anger. Yes. Like, have you been in traffic lately?
Oh, girl. I have a 16-year-old driver. Like, I'm telling you right now, it terrifies me every time he leaves the house because people are so ragey right now. People, I mean, and again, I mean, maybe we have to get there in order to clear it. Maybe the only way through it's through it. But it's scary out there right now. And I mean, Elizabeth Warren said something about the whole United Healthcare thing that I read today that I thought was kind of my thoughts on this too. It's like, there's never, ever an excuse for any sort of violence, not political violence, not any sort of violence, but people can only be pushed so far. And where we are as a nation is, I think just about everybody is at their limit. That's a scary place when going into 4 years with somebody who is unstable at the helm of our country. Is people were real mad and during his last term. Like I said, people were getting mowed over in the streets. You had Nazis marching on Charlottesville. You know, we had you had all kinds of horrific things happen. And people have just they've tuned it out. They've forgotten how mad they were and how this Biden time period has been calming.
So
and it's almost like people wanted to get angry again. Like they wanted to find this thing that's feeding what's inside of them right now. And I think that's unfortunate for our country, but there's a place to grow from it. And I think that you're exactly right. Listening right now, listening. Why are you so angry? And hearing them out. I mean, the interview I did this morning was on Black radio out of Chicago. I do listening every time I go on there. I'm a white woman. Like every time I go, I'm like, tell me what I am not seeing. Tell me what I'm not hearing. And I heard frustration. I heard a lot of frustration with the way things are right now. And the fact that people aren't listening and the fact that, Kamala seemed like she tuned out middle of America because they're worried about their grocery prices and she's trying to talk unity. The president of the United States doesn't dictate grocery prices, and Trump is figuring that out like now.
Oh, I think he already knew that.
Well, maybe he knew. I mean, he was talking the other day. I saw something where he was saying, he's like, groceries. No one ever uses that word. I brought that word back. I'm like, groceries. Yeah, this is real. This is real. This is an actual quote from Truth Social. Groceries. No one talks about groceries. I brought groceries back. Groceries. And it's like, it's just, Maya, I mean, it's going to be a long 4 years. It's going to be a long 4 years of this crap.
And I have to say, I like to consider myself an expert in surviving fuckery. And one of the ways I do that is by keeping enough of myself intact. And so that I know that when this temporary situation is over, I can take that little grain, that little kernel, the little tiny little seed of my joy and happiness and replant it in good soil again and grow from there. And so I think it's super important right now to maintain at least enough of our humanity so that we can do that. And that's going to be a daily effort if you want to stay tuned in, because it's going to be it's going to be nonstop, y'all.
Well, but Maya, it's the time where we actually have to cling to each other, right? And when and in the past in this country, when we have had to cling to each other to get through, America has come out stronger. And like I look at, I mean, I don't think we're going to come out stronger from Donald Trump. Let me go ahead and start there. But as a people, like after 9/11, the people, we bonded together. After Pearl Harbor, we bonded together. You put some things aside when you're in crisis. And this country is about to be in crisis. And it's going to be very important that we bond together. I have a sign in the room I'm sitting in right now. And it says ally is a verb. And it's going to be important that we're all allies. We're allies to the LGBTQ plus community. We're allies to the POC community. We're allies to women. We're allies. We've got to actually put that into practice over the next 4 years, because if we want to bring unity and we want to bring joy and we want to bring back that fertile soil that you were talking about, it starts with us. It starts with how we treat people.
Yeah. And actually, that's how you play three-dimensional chess, because unity is kind of like what the country is supposed to be about. United we stand, divided we fall, that whole thing. And so when we talk about allyship, I think one of the things that we've forgotten as a country is that we need each other. Right? Like I need the food that is grown in certain states, right? Right. The people in certain states need economies that are coming out of other states. This idea, and I feel like somehow the way our system is set up, we've forgotten that, right? We're very distant from the idea that we actually rely on each other. And so everybody just thinks that food just shows up at their door, or that movies just get made on their own and for entertainment. And it's like, no, every little thing that we do, just because we've made it look so easy now that our system, in a way, I can just order something on Amazon and it just shows up at my front door. Like, it seems so easy, but it isn't. It was because we worked together and we understood that we were a united country. United we stand, divided we fall. Yes, we've always had our issues and we'll have our issues going into the future. I love what Jason Stanley said. He's like, if we're arguing, that means we still have a democracy. So that's good. If we stop arguing, that's when we might have a bit of a problem, because then we recognize, there's only one thought that gets to be thought in America. And so I think it's important to remember that we need each other. And so allyship is about recognizing that, and not throwing communities under the bus. I am going to have to call my rep, because I don't know if you saw the defense spending bill passed the House with Democratic support, and they stripped rights to gender affirming care for military families, which is wild, because imagine saying that you're going to serve your country, that you're willing to die for your country to defend freedoms, and then the government comes and strips some of those freedoms away from your family. And so I think it's really important to pay attention to all of that right now, and stay on your Congress folks and let them know, hey, we're all in this together. We're not going to throw anybody under the bus, because that's exactly what they want us to do.
That's exactly what they want us to do. It goes back to the circus that we were talking about just a little while ago. They are trying to serve up discord in this country. They are trying to stir up anxiety. They're trying to, the MAGA movement has always been us versus them. And it needs to be us versus the world. Like we've got to be together. I mean, there's so many people who want to dethrone us as a superpower. Do you know how terrible that would be for us? Ask Putin, because that's why Putin's wanting to do that to this country, because this country was responsible for taking apart the USSR. And he's mad about the Soviets because it was a shame. And what happened to Russia, from his perspective, this is a shame that they lost their nationality. They lost their pride. They lost all of those things. Their currency is not ever going to be the dollar. And we don't want to be that. We don't want to be that. And that is kind of the path that we're on right now because of who we've put in power. And we're allowed.
I saw the voting numbers come out of, I don't know if you saw, there was a graphic put out, and we had high voter turnout in some places like Colorado, 75%, but and above. But then in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, I think the numbers were hovering around like 60%. Yeah. And guys, like, you can't keep a democracy if we're not all voting. Like, we have to.
Right. It's not a spectator sport.
So that's yet another thing that we have to work on. And yes, I know voter suppression is a part of it, and disengagement and disillusionment with the system is a part of it. So there are a lot of variables that go into this that we're going to have to understand so that we can shift things in our favor. And when I say our favor, I mean America's favor, y'all, because yes, we are in this together. And there's actual real issues, like climate change and, I have to have my air conditioner on right now in the winter. It's California. Yeah, but because there's forest fires outside. So when I open up my window, I go, and then I have to ask myself, is the incoming administration, we already know he doesn't want to help areas that didn't vote for him. So like,
he didn't do it 4 years ago when he was president. He refused to send aid to places that had natural disasters that did not vote for him. I mean, do we remember what he did to Puerto Rico? I mean, so it's going to be tough, and it's going to take charity on the hearts and the parts of the people in this country, because you're right. I mean, Maya, I live in Florida, 45 minutes down the road, got hit with a Category 5 Hurricane Michael just a few years ago. And it was like an atomic bomb went off. We are in a housing crisis in Florida. We are in a home insurance crisis in Florida. And that's at the hands of a Republican government. So, I mean, it's going to take compassion. It's going to take listening. It's going to take stepping outside and instead of trying to convince someone, listening to what they're saying and using what they're saying to try to convince them. Right now, we are looking at people who, may have voted for Trump, and we're saying, they're stupid, they're racist adjacent, if not just complete racists, whatever. We can't take that approach. I mean, that's just not a helpful approach. Why? Why did you do this? What did you see that scared you so badly? How can I help fix that? How can I explain to you that the Mexicans aren't coming for your jobs? Corporate America is coming for your jobs. Corporate greed at the top. Like
AI is coming for your jobs. Like
AI is coming for your jobs. So, I mean, how do you can't get there if you don't know where they're coming from.
Right.
And so it's so important over the next 4 years to listen and to not talk down to, because I'll be honest with you, where I live, I'm surrounded by a bunch of people who are not nearly as educated as the people I work with every day. And when I come to them and I say, this is the dumbest thing, I cannot believe you did this, I'm talking down to them and they're like, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck you. That is not getting us where we need to go. I need to be able to look at them and say, okay, you were worried about the price of eggs. What do you think the president of the United States can do about the price of eggs? And get them to answer questions. Make them come to those conclusions on their own by asking them questions that make them think. Don't just talk down to them.
Yeah, and I think in a couple of months, few months, it's going to be easier to have those conversations because their lived experience is going to be a lived experience of a Republican president, a Republican Congress. And so there's going to be fewer fingers pointing around at other people, I think, and they're going to have to turn inward and do some reflection. So with that,
it's been fun, Maya.
With that reflection time, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. We have one more show.
We have a holiday mailbag we've got to get to, Maya.
Yeah. So please send in your questions for the Lincoln Project team. We can't wait to answer them. The email address is right there, the breakdown at lincolnproject.us. And we will be here with bells on next week to answer those questions. So be safe out there, y'all. Take care of yourselves. It's holiday time. Fill your cup with joy.
Fill your cup with joy. Fill your cup with joy while you can. Thank you for letting me come on and co-host with you tonight, Maya. It's always so much fun when I get to play Rick Wilson. I'm never ever as good.
You are fabulous.
Opportunity to come on and to definitely hang out with you and do some girl time. It's kind of hard when we live across the country from each other. So
it is. Yes,
I love it. Thank you.
You're not giving a good advertisement for Florida, but maybe I do have to come for
there's no good advertisement for Florida right now. There just isn't. I can show you some beautiful beaches.
I want the beaches, and I want that roadside totem. Those two things. I'm coming for beaches and the roadside, whatever the heck that is. Thank you so much for joining us, y'all.
Thanks,
make sure to follow us on all the channels, especially Blue Sky, because that's where we're having fun now. And we'll see y'all next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.